Okay, we're responding to this video.
Flow to
Let's
bustle
see
and
what
light
this shit.
peace.
This shit don't make no fucking sense. Well, I mean, makes sense, but it's so stupid. The whole statement is stupid. You just use your brain for 5 fucking seconds. I haven't read this guy, but I'm gonna go for whatever she says. It just makes no sense. Set theory is bullshit anyway. It's just confusing, saying basic stuff in a confusing way. The 379 page proof that 1 plus 1 is 2, but the video is a bullshit video anyway. Because how would you prove that 1 plus 1 is 2? That makes no sense. If you prove 1 plus 1 is 2, you're proving that we exist. You're proving existence. Because 1 isn't just like a number you throw out there, you write this shit. Because in English, they say it's 1. In another country, in Japan, they have another symbol for this thing. It's a symbol that represents something. What does it represent? We live in a fucking world, physical world. We live on Earth. We interact with things. So it represents things. We have a chair. So we define it as a chair. It has a beginning. I mean, it is fucking confusing going on deep on this kind of stuff, but okay, we have a chair. You can have another chair. The one, if there is one of chair in the room, then we have 1. If there are 2 of that thing, there are 2. That's it. But then it's a whole fucking story, but then you have to define what a chair is. Maybe some people have other definitions. That's a whole fucking point of mathematics. Read fucking Euclid's books. How do you define? It has to have a beginning and an end. Because if it doesn't end, then you can't have more than 1 chair. It's just beginning, end. That's 1 chair. It's defined, it has boundaries. Then you have another beginning and an end. Then these are 2 chairs. I mean, why explain it in such a fucking confusing ass matter this video? So you have 1 of type of thing, chair, that we define it as chair, but that thing has to have a beginning and end. It has to be defined. It's a whole fucking complicated thing. So that is 1. And what does it mean, proof? That doesn't prove anything. Can you prove that it's a chair? How do you define a chair? Can you prove definition? Maybe some people have a different definition of a chair than your definition of a chair. I mean, this is complicated stuff. You can't just prove that shit. If you do prove that 1 plus 1 is 2, it's an axiom, because you look at it and it's a chair and you accept it, and that's how it works. It's defined however many centimeters, left, right, up, down, 3 dimensions. You have to prove that the 3 dimensions, you have to prove everything. You have to prove. You cannot prove it because you look at it, but you don't know, because you have to have something that doesn't follow these rules to prove it. Like the one with the doves, the black swan or whatever. If you know the story about the black swan, it's a kind of proof thing. So you go the fucking chair. You have to. How would you improve that? How would you prove that shit? You have to prove life itself. You have to prove existence. We go back to Euclid. These are all axioms that we observe. We cannot prove them as of yet. I don't know if they can be ever proved, or what even is proof anyway.
Plus 1 equals 2 even exists, we need to travel back to ancient Greece. In the 4th century BC, mathematics was largely made of just 2 fields: geometry, the study of shapes, and arithmetic, the study of numbers. A famous Greek mathematician named Euclid thought mathematics was the language that described our universe. Statements like the angles of every triangle add to 180 degrees and 2 parallel
But geometry, you also algebra
lines
derived
never
from
meet
geometry.
were observable facts of our world. mathematics was the most pure form of knowledge. It couldn't have inconsistencies because that would mean the universe we lived in had inconsistencies. Euclid thought that geometry was the embodiment of mathematical truth and came up with 5 axioms that all of geometry was built on. We knew what math was and we knew how it worked. It was neat and tidy, pure and perfect.
Yeah, an axiom is just stuff you see and you accept that it's true because, I mean, you can't disprove it. You have to find something that does not have an ending, does not have a beginning or an ending, does not occupy space to disprove one. What is up with these stupid people proving that 1 + 1 is 2 and they want to prove it so badly? Stop for a moment. Can you even prove that 1 is 1? You have to prove that 1 is 1 before you prove that 1 + 1 is 2. You can't even prove that 1 = 1. How do you prove that 1 is 1? You cannot prove that 1 is 1. How can you prove that a chair is a chair? How can you prove that you exist? How can you prove? You just accept it. You just go on with your life. You see that it's there, you touch it, and that's it. You cannot prove that it exists. It don't work like that. I mean, it's much deeper and more complicated.
Things started to take a turn.
What is definition? Then you have to say. What is length? What is width? You have to define all these billion
Math was
things.
simple when it was
What
made
is
up
a
of
chair?
just shapes and numbers. But over the years, more complicated fields started to join the pie.
What is definition in itself?
Abstract ideas like infinity and imaginary clunky. Not one paradox to be found. Took on the technical power. This project manifested itself as a 1 + 1.
Whatever the fuck you want to pronounce
Knowledge
it.
based on pure reason is somehow more true than knowledge based on the observations of the world around us. Logical knowledge is different to other types of knowledge for a couple of reasons. For one, logical statements are true because of their form, without doing rules of inference. Next, we have axioms. Axioms are statements on which all other statements are built. They serve as a starting point. They are statements which are so obvious and self-evident that they don't need proof. Now you might think that a statement like
It's not that they don't need proof. It's just you can't even prove it. How the fuck do you prove that a point is a point? You can't prove it. You just look at it and you say it's a point. How do you prove that a chair is a chair? You just look at it and you say it's a chair. How do you prove that two points make a line? How and connect it, you make a line? I mean, can you have 2 points in our world that we live in on Earth? Connect 2 points and you get something else other than a line. You have to get something else other than a line to prove it. I mean, and you cannot do it, so you can't prove or disprove it. That's literally what this is. That's why it's an axiom. They've come up with all these fucking weird ass names. It's not that fucking difficult. Use your brain for 5 seconds.
That it could be an axiom. But in fact, the statement 1 + 1 = 2 has a plethora of assumptions baked into it.
It's an axiom. 1 = 1 is an axiom. You have to prove 1 is 1 before you prove 1 + 1 is 2. Man, what's up with these people? They think they're so fucking smart, coming out with all these fucking dumb things to say. It's just a bunch of dumb stuff to say. I'm sorry for our language, but 1 is 1. Can you prove 1 is 1? Can you prove anything? You have to prove that it exists. You have to prove that it is. You have to prove that it exists. That's it. Prove that 1 is pretty much a chair. Prove that a chair exists.
We'll unearth later in the video. To show you just how far back Russell and Whitehead went, some axioms of Principia Mathematica are: if P is true, is a valid statement, then P is false.
Yeah, but this none of that makes sense. All this is based on a lot of information that is omitted.
Also a valid statement.
They just put these fucking flash bullshit to confuse people.
X of mathematics. With this combo of foolproofery, Russell and Whitehead and Wittgenstein, I saw he was right, and I sought out of their own pockets to get it published.
Where is Set?
And you know, Fram wrote in his blog, I do not know if Russell or what assumptions are we making when we look at this statement? Identifying your own assumptions.
All I know what they're doing is just confusing people.
So
That's all they're fucking doing.
We're explaining it to an alien. This alien is smart. It doesn't know any of our.
The alien wouldn't want to visit us asking stupid questions like, can we prove that 1 + 1 is 2? The question is just stupid in itself. It says that you haven't used your brain 5 seconds. Just use your brain. You don't need all these fancy wording and axioms and whatever. All an axiom is I have eyes, I look. I have hand, I touch. I see one chair, I call it chair. Because I see that it is not another thing. There is thing and there is other than thing. It's not that fucking hard. That's all an axiom is. I see it. That's how it works. I don't mess with it. That's how it is. It has left. It has right. That's how it is. Prove that left is left and right is right. It just is. You have to find something else that does not follow these laws to prove it. Find something that doesn't exist to prove that something exists, pretty much, or to disprove that something exists, or whatever, to attempt to do something.
History or syntax.
Yeah, that's what an axiom is.
When it's
You cannot prove it. You cannot disprove it or prove it.
With this statement, it just sees a bunch of symbols. These symbols don't carry any inherent meaning. Any meaning they do have been given to them by us.
So confusing, bro.
So what do the symbols represent? Well, you say, this one represents the number 1, and this one represents the number 2. This one represents equal to, and this one represents plus. So the alien asks, what is the number 1? You hold up one finger and say, this is the number 1. Then the alien says, oh...
No, that is one of something. And then everything is written in that fucking book. Read the fucking book. Euclid's Elements. You probably not understand anything because it's a 3,000-year-old book. It's written in ancient Greek. Nobody knows how to speak ancient Greek. It's a lost language. Ancient language. People try to translate it. It's worded like the way the fucking book is worded, like just like the Principia, whatever the fuck they want to say, Mathematica. You can't fucking understand anything. It's worded in such a stupid way. Why would you even translate? Like, just open the fucking book and see. Look up the fucking Principia Mathematica.
Things move.
Look at this book. The quantity of matter is the measure of the same, arising from its density and bulk conjointly. Who the fuck says that? Who the fuck talks like that? How do you even understand this? Why would you say it like that? We're in the 21st century. We don't talk like that. I mean, you have to make it understandable for the people. This is for the... It's like... I'm in America and people speak English and I have to teach a class, but I just start speaking in Russian to the class. It makes no sense. You wouldn't do that. They don't speak, and then I would grade them in Russian on a test or something. You don't do that. It makes no sense. You have to make sense. The quantity of matter, yeah, but then they explain it. The quantity of matter, which is mass, whatever the fuck. Then the rising from the dense and bulk. Instead of saying volume, they say bulk. But we don't say bulk. No, and then conjointly is supposed to mean multiplied. Why would I not know that? What does that mean, conjointly? For me, it means the same or together, but it's difficult. I don't know. Fuck that shit. How? I mean, even that Euclid, but in whatever little information you can understand, whatever little thing you can understand from, you just use your own brain. From the elements. Yeah, the elements are, I mean, let's open the fucking elements and see. It's a whole different thing. It has nothing to do with what mathematics is teaching nowadays. It's a fucking lie. Whatever it is, they're lying. Everybody lying and confusing everybody. for some reason. There you go. A point is that which has no part. But then again, all this shit you have to take with a grain of rice, or a grain of salt, whatever fuck. Cause I mean, it's out there. I mean, you have to question. You have to think about it.
Snapchat sent a notification that I can't read.
A point is that which has no part. A line is a breathless length. The ends of a line are points. Yeah, I mean. No, go to book 5 with proportion. There you go. Book 6. Book 5. A magnitude is a part of a magnitude. The less of the greater one measures the greater. I mean, there you go. A magnitude. I mean, it's worded like fucking trash. What the fuck does that even mean? But anyway, it's trying to tell you that it's where mathematics, algebra, and all that shit comes from. It's just relationships. It's not one. It's not like numbers that you just write and put in a computer and fuck off. These are relationships and how we interact with the world. That's all this shit is. You have one because you can have two. And I need to go to the bank, I need to eat, so I need to eat that many things and I need to pay that much money. That's really all this shit is. It's not rocket science. They make it look like it's rocket science because they confuse you all these fucking terminology, but it's not. You got one of one. You got what is one? You have one chair. Then you have one and another chair. Then you have how many chairs? You have two chairs. That is called addition. 1 plus 1. Then that means you have two. There's no proof. You can't prove this shit. That's how it is. In order to prove it, you have to go somewhere where you have one chair, and then what the fuck happens? It's what it is. Then that's what the proof is. You have to break existence. You have to prove. First, you have to prove one is one, that the chair even exists. Then you have to have another chair. You know, how would you prove this shit? You have one chair and you have another chair. That's all this is. This is just describing the world. Like mathematics is like language. It's like speaking, describing things so you can get along with life. So it is. You have one chair, you have another chair. It's just describing that. That we call that two. You have one and a one and another and a one. We call that three. That's all it is. Addition. Then what is multiplication? Multiplication is basically addition on drugs. You have one. You have three of one, which is multiplication. It's just a shorthand method. Instead of writing all this shit down, you just say 8, or you say 1 times 8. Instead of writing 8 things, it's just a shorthand method. Same with powers. 2 to the what the fuck? 2 to the second. What the fuck? I write this shit. 2 to the shit. Whatever. 2. How the fuck do I do this dumb shit now? Whatever, yeah. I don't know where the fuck the power thing went, but the asterisk, whatever thing. The 2 to the power of 2. So instead of writing 2 times 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 2, you can just write 2 to the power of whatever the fuck. That's just making it easier. We're just making life easier on ourselves. That's all it is. And faster. That's all this shit is. It's not rocket science. That's all this is. It's not like some special magical whatever thing. It is magical, but the way they explain it is like, I don't know what. It's just relationships. What is a fraction? It's all proportions. You have the whole, and then you can divide it. That's it. That's all this thing is. Have 1 divided by 2. And then proportions. You have how big is something in with another thing, because we need to live, we need to figure something out, we have a problem in life, then we need to know what is what, how many, for example, you need to build a fucking house, you need to know how many things do I need to fill this amount of space. This amount of space is fucking 30 bricks wide. Then we came up with the meter just to make everybody be on the same page, because a brick can be bigger and smaller, and Chinese bricks are this size and whatever. I'm just using examples. So that's all this shit is. It's not that hard. It's just made to be a part of life. I don't know why they confuse everybody. All these theorems and all this bullshit. Same with the Pythagorean theorem, all this kind of stuff. It's not that. This shit is not that hard. What is division? How many things can fit in another thing? That's all. I wanna fill this thing with that many. I want a container this big so I can put 30 eggs in it. How big do I need to make it so I can fit 30 eggs? That's all it is. It's just solving problems like that. Not solving bullshit problems from your fucking school that they waste your time. That you're never gonna see that in your life. That's all this is. All algebra is relationships between things. How big is something with another thing? How many things fit in a thing? Everything's about things. And then it's about the one and the two. That's why these Greeks, they worship these numbers and all that kind of stuff. One, then you have two, because they didn't count the number one as a number or a number two or something like that. I don't remember, but it makes sense because two is just one and one, and then one is a whole. So a whole chair, that's also divisible. You can cut it. You can have a part of a chair and then you can add them up and make a whole. So a whole thing. So that's all this is. That's all this type of stuff is. It's just weird things that happen in nature and life, and you look at it and it makes sense. It's not that hard.